That's
Hey
good.
guys,
Okay.
this is Ruth from Frederick. I'm trying to log in. Hi, and it keeps acting like I want to register. I'm on the thing, but it won't let me. It won't kick me into the thing itself. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong here.
Oh no, it's asking you to register.
It sent me the reminder and what time to sign in, and click on this, and I did, and now it wants to register me again. I don't want to register. I'm going to click into it. So I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
Ruth, in the email, there should be something for the help desk. We really can't, in the middle of the webinar, give you technical assistance. I'm sorry. Or you can join with the phone or try to re-register, but if you really need help.
Okay, well, I'll just listen by the phone. I mean, I was registered. I was just trying to get onto the webinar.
Yeah, you can try their help desk. They're usually pretty good.
Okay, well, I'll just listen in.
okay. Okay, good evening, everyone. Cycling preseason webinar. My name is Natalia Steffen, and I'm the sport lead for cycling and the regional sports director of Special Olympics Maryland. Tonight, I'm going to be Chris Militello is helping me out with the webinar tonight. He's the Prince George's County cycling coach and cycling expert. So with that, we're going to go into the agenda. See if I can get this to move again. There we go. So agenda, we're going to go through events offered, rules, go through reminders and any rule changes. Then we're going to hop into season deadlines, entry process for states, qualifiers, certifications such as concussion and head coach certifications, and then we'll open it up to questions. So Chris, what I'll do is I'll flip through the slides for you if you just want to tell me when to flip.
Okay, great. All right, as usual, you guys know from past races that the 500 meters, the 1K, and the 2K are time trials. That means they're individual start. You know, as usual, we line up the riders. They go off in 30-second intervals. So that's pretty straightforward. We also have the 1K, 2K, 5K, and 10K mass start races. That's where we stage in a large group, and then they go off usually together. And in the past, we've set them off usually in waves of 5 to stagger the race a little bit with a small time gap, just so they don't all hit the first corner together. And as you know, they usually don't allow adult trikes in the mass start races. So just same as we've always ever done at the races. Okay. Special Olympic rules usually go under the auspices of USA Cycling, and then above that is the UCI, although most of the time the officials adhere to the rules of Special Olympics, especially with the adaptive bicycles that a lot of our athletes are on. If there is ever a question, USA Cycling officials are super easygoing and will usually speak with a coach before they make a judgment on any piece of equipment, or especially on, I know in the past we've had some riders not make it to the time trial start in time, and instead of disqualifying like they usually would in the USA Cycling race, they're allowed to start at the end of the line or at the end of the time trial and just slot it in for their time. Okay. Anybody have any questions, or am I going too fast? All right. Yeah. uniforms. I'm not going to go into the new rules. There was some stuff done in 2014. Again, yeah, the bigger rule we need to worry about is making sure we have people prepared and at the start line, ready to race. Helmet on, have gone to the bathroom, and they're ready to race so we can get rolling. Uniforms, matching uniforms, recommended but not required. I know most of the counties have a t-shirt or a jersey that they bring with them, so they all look the same. Please no jeans, either like an athletic pant, a yoga pant, cycling short. Some cool stuff, socks, cycling gloves are very valuable. Case of a spill. Eye protection. Up can get buggy in the morning, so keep the bugs out of the eyes as they're riding. And hydration. None of the races are long enough where any of the athletes are going to be drinking during the ride, but keep them hydrated throughout the day. Okay. You guys know that you can't follow the race in a car. A lot of the coaches will be out on bicycles and on the sidelines cheering on. There may come a time where USA Cycling official may ask you to follow a specific athlete on a bike. I know that happened last year when there was a athlete on an adaptive trike and they asked somebody to follow him to make sure he was okay. You are able to provide directional assistance. You're able to encourage the athletes. The USA Cycling officials want you guys out there helping the athletes along, making sure everybody finishes their races. No radio use. I don't think that's ever been a problem. Nobody's ever had a radio in the ear of their cyclists giving them directions. I think that's pretty silly that they even put it in there. So, okay, next slide. All the bicycles must meet USA Cycling safety standards. Again, I know for a fact not every one of them do, and the USA Cycling officials have spoken with a lot of us about it. The next thing says 2 working brakes. A lot of the adaptive bikes that some of our athletes are on do not have 2 working brakes. The USA Cycling officials are willing to work with us in that and understand that that's not always the case, that you can have 2 working brakes along with one hand on the bar. It's pretty self-explanatory. Radios, again, radios aren't permitted. I don't think we've ever had a problem with that. Headphones of any kind not permitted. I have an athlete who loves to listen to music. When he rides, we're going to have to make sure that he does not do that, and we're going to start working with him about that. Aero equipment, sometimes you'll see guys with specially designed handlebars for racing. I haven't seen them at any of the races, so we don't have to worry about that. Modified bikes and adult tricycles. Again, they're only permitted in the time trial. The extended handlebars that go on a bicycle, none of our racers have ever used them. Again, if we see it, we'll address it at the time of the race. So that's pretty easy there. Next slide. For mechanicals, in the past when there's been flats, we've changed a wheel quickly and made sure that the racer is able to get into his race and make the race. In that situation, they'll usually let the coach make a quick change and hold the race so everybody can get, so the cyclist can get rolling again. As in all races, in the match style races, if there is a mechanical, you're able to push your rider off. That's USA Cycling rule. Athletes may run the bicycle, carrying the bicycle to the finish line, and athletes may not move forward without their bicycle. Okay, next slide. The time trials are raced against the clock. Again, they're started in 30-second intervals. We do not use the 1 minute interval start in our races. It's a 30-second interval. The USA Cycling judge will give them a finger and a audible countdown. Again, for hearing impaired riders, there is a visual cue from the USA Cycling official. Usually there are coaches around also making sure the riders start when the official lets them start. If a cyclist needs a hold, they are permitted to have a hold to get started without a push. And again, the bottom one is use of modified bicyclers are only permitted in the time trial, and the chief referee will decide if the two or modified bicycles can compete together. I've never seen the chief referee disqualify anybody for their bicycle. Next frame, please. All right, the road race is a mass start event. It's a group start. The placing is based by where they finish, not on time in the mass start event. The start is never done by a pistol or a whistle at our races. It's always done by an audible cue from the USA Cycling official. Finish is determined by placing order, not by a time. The rest of the stuff on here does not pertain. That next, if the course is more than 2.5 meters in length, none of the division may ride on the course at once. So I've never seen that handled before in any of our races. All cyclists will have an opportunity to warm up on the course as in the past, and the race shall be declared when the front tire crosses the finish line, same as we have always done in the past. Okay, next slide. And about the trikes and the adaptive stuff, we touched a lot of that last year. I know a lot of you had questions about what bicycles are legal and what are illegal, and as long as the bicycles are in safe working order, the USA Cycling officials are really, really easygoing about making sure that everybody gets the race. Okay?
Okay. Does anyone have any questions before we move into the administrative part? No? Okay. So thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Thanks. So now we're going to move into the registration forms and procedures part of the season. So just as a reminder, I know everyone knows, but just, just to keep in mind, no athlete or volunteer may participate in any manner in a Special Olympics Maryland program without a valid and current medical form or volunteer application. There's no exceptions to this policy. So if that means someone has to sit out from practice because they don't have a valid medical or volunteer application turned in yet, then that's just what's going to have to happen. We need those medicals and volunteer applications. Here are the deadlines for the 2016 fall sports. Training registration deadline is September 1st, meaning all rosters must be entered into GMS of all athletes, unified partners, coaches, volunteers participating in your program. This establishes who is eligible to compete at Fall Sports Fest. The next deadline is the last date for missing forms to be submitted to Special Olympics Maryland, and that is September 12th. We understand that there are sometimes extenuating circumstances for people which make it hard to get their paperwork turned into us on time and need a little flexibility, and this date allows for a bit of flexibility. This deadline is the very last date to get all missing forms into us, whether it's an athlete medical form, volunteer application, concussion certification, and or head coach certification. Please be mindful of this deadline since it is the very last date that we will accept late paperwork. that was not turned in before the training registration deadline. The final deadline is the competition registration, which is October 6th. At this time, delegation members, team rosters, and all athlete and unified partner events must be entered into GMS. Very important. Any athlete or unified partner without an event will be deleted from Fall Sports Fest. Again, all athletes, unified partners, coaches, and volunteers must have the proper forms completed and submitted prior to starting their involvement with Special Olympics. If you are unsure if your athlete, unified partners, coaches, or volunteers have their necessary paperwork turned in, please work with your area leadership and area GMS manager to find out who has what and what needs to be turned in. If you do not know who your GMS manager is, please contact your area office and ask. The next few slides are the athlete medical form and the volunteer application. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these. I'm going to post these slides on my SOMD, so you can always go in and look at them if you have a question about athlete medical or volunteer application. The first report of accident form, all coaches must be familiar with this form. Should an accident occur immediately after the injured person has been treated, the coach or program coordinator should complete this form and submit it to the individuals listed at the bottom of the form, as well as their area director. And this is what the form looks like. So, entry process. In order to be eligible for the state tournament, all athletes must compete in a minimum of 2 sanctioned qualifiers. One qualifier must be sanctioned multi-program qualifier, and the other may be an in-house qualifier. This in-house qualifier can take place during a regular practice, but it needs to have the following elements. An actual course needs to be set. Officials are in place, and the competition is conducted under the Special Olympics and NGB rules, and times are recorded and submitted to Special Olympics Maryland following the competition. It is really good if you're planning on having an in-house qualifier to submit a sanction form to us, so then we know that there's an in-house qualifier, it's sanctioned, we know about it, your area knows about it, and everything. At each qualifier, the athlete must compete in those events in which he or she will be competing in at Fall Sports Fest. Athletes may enter up to 2 events for cycling. And while we say there's a minimum of 2 sanctioned events or qualifiers that athletes need to participate in, additional competition experience above and beyond the minimum 2 are strongly, strongly encouraged. So qualifiers. In order to count as a qualifier, the competition must have the following elements: emulate state-level competition from a sports and competition perspective, follow the rules of Special Olympics and the NGB for the sport, medical personnel on site, and ideally include 3 or more areas or counties, again, unless it is an in-house qualifier. Qualifiers must have completed sanction forms that have been submitted to Special Olympics Maryland 30 days prior to the competition date. So here's a list of the qualifiers we have thus far for the fall season. At the moment, you can see we only have 2 cycling qualifiers, one in Prince George's County on August 28th, and one in Carroll County on September 10th. If your area is planning on having another cycling qualifier, please let me know as soon as possible so I can get a tentative date on the calendar until I get your sanction form. Again, I highly encourage more qualifiers for cycling, more opportunities for our athletes to compete in for cycling. Okay, so coach concussion certification. Everyone should know this by now. All coaches must complete a concussion training before they begin coaching. This is absolutely mandatory for all coaches. The certification is good for 3 years. In order to meet the certifications, you must complete a course, and as you can see here, I've listed a couple of the approved courses. We have the CDC Heads Up and NFHS Concussions in Sports. In order to meet the requirements, you have to complete one of those courses and submit evidence that you completed the course to Special Olympics Maryland headquarters. The course will usually send you a confirmation email saying that you passed the course and the quiz at the end of the course, or it'll send you a certificate saying that you completed it. If it's, sends you a certificate, please send it to us as a PDF to the email address that's listed on the slide, coaches@somd.org. The concussion certification is good for 3 years. Both of the courses I named here and that are listed on this slide, they're both offered online and they're free. The CDC Heads Up is about approximately 30 minutes. It doesn't take that long, and it's it's very easy, just easy to get through and to accomplish. The next thing is coach certification. All head coaches must have a coach certification in the sport you are coaching. In order to get a certification, you must complete a general coaching course, which would be coaching Special Olympics athletes, as well as a sports-specific course too. While the certification only applies to head coaches at the moment, we will begin implementing the coach certification for all coaches, head and assistant in 2017, beginning with the Winter Games sports. The requirements are listed here on the slide. So for all coaches, you would need to complete general orientation session, volunteer screening, protective behaviors, concussion certification, and coach education for new coaches, which would be coaching Special Olympics athletes and sport specifics. To schedule coaches training sessions, last year we had a live coaches training for cycling at our office. This year, because we had it last year and majority of coaches for cycling had attended, we are not going to hold a coaches training this year. But if you are interested in having a coaches training in your area, that people are interested in your area and you think it'd be beneficial, and you want more information or you have questions, please contact your regional sports directors. We can help you, we can give you more information, and we're more than willing to answer your questions. So these are some of the online trainings that ASAP offers. They also do coaching Special Olympic athletes, the general course, and then here are some of their sports specific. Unfortunately, they do not offer a training for cycling. So that is something to keep in mind. If you do, I'm going to move on to the next slide because that applies to what I'm about to say. If you do know of a course or and you want to know if it's approved, if you can use it for your sports-specific requirement for the head coach certification, please let us know. At the moment, I only know of the USA USA Cycling Coaches Education certification process. That's the only one I know of. If you know of another course for cycling coaches, please let me know. Because if it is approved, we can get that information out to fellow coaches, and that could be something that they could use as well. So if you do know of something other than USA Cycling, that'd be great. Please let me know. We can look at the course and see if it is approved. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post these slides on my SOMD later this week, as well as the recording of this webinar will also go on to my SOMD. And I will let everybody know when I have posted them, so you can look at these slides again for more information to refer back to during the season. If you have any questions after the webinar, you think of it tomorrow or even later on tonight, feel free to email any of feel free to email your regional sports directors. And right now, I'm going to open up the floor, and if you have any questions, go ahead and you can ask them.
Natalia, before you actually open it up, could either you or Steve just give a brief rundown on the status of Fort Ritchie, just because it's been in the news and folks may not be. I want to eliminate any rumors out there. So just
I'll address that, Mike. This is Steve Bennett. What Mike's alluding to is the ownership of the Fort Ritchie property is becoming property of the county, which is starting to take process beginning in September and concluding in the changeover right at the beginning of the first of the year. At this point, we're good to go. We've met with them on site. Don't see any changes whatsoever for this year's cycling competition. We are on the books tentatively for next year, and we don't foresee any major issues that would prevent us. But again, as you may hear rumors that the venue is being taken over by the county, obviously we'll be working closely with the county to see what their plans are in regards to construction or whatever that may impact the course for 2017. But just know that we're sure that this year no major issues at all. Next year there may be a little thing here and there that we've got to work through, but very confident in meeting with the people at Fort Ritchie that we'll still be able to return to the lovely site that they provided over the last couple of years. Any questions about that? Okay, back to you, Natalia.
Okay, thanks, Steve. If we don't have any other questions, again, I will be posting these slides on my SOMD. It'll have all of our information here on the slide, so if you do have a question later on, you can contact your regional sports director. But if that is it, if anyone does not have any other questions, I want to thank you guys for attending tonight, and I will be sending out emails later this week letting you know that the slides are up on my SOMD.
Hey, Natalia, this is Alice Lee for Upper Shore. I just wanted to let everybody know that there is another qualifier. It's in Dover, Delaware, at the Dover Air Force Base, and it is on September the 10th. And I'll contact Mark Wise from Special Olympics Delaware to get that posted on the Maryland calendar.
Yeah, good deal. Thanks for bringing that up, Alice Lee. This is Steve. I actually talked with those guys from Delaware this past week up in Denver, so they had mentioned that, and I had forgotten to mention that to Natalia about a possibility.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
Yep. Do you know how many counties actually go up there?
Say it again.
Do you know which counties go up there to participate?
They have 500, 1K, 2K, 5K, for sure.
Yeah, and then how many counties from Maryland go up there? Are you aware?
The only athletes that I know that go are from the Upper Shore, and we have 7 athletes going.
Okay, gotcha.
Prince George's County has 2 athletes who are attending.
Okay, great.
At the same day as the Sykesville qualifier?
Yes.
Okay. This is Jim Russell from St. Mary's County. How's everyone this evening?
Good.
Listen, one of the questions I'd like to ask is, I've been struggling trying to find a comprehensive calendar. I appreciate the calendar that we have for cycling events that you have, but do we have something that is accurate and up to date? Because that's kind of hindering my ability to figure out when to schedule our qualifiers that we have each year.
Yes, actually, we send out a calendar we've been sending out a calendar now every 2 weeks with the area memo. So your areas have been getting this calendar and should have been sending it out to coaches. What I can do is, well, this calendar right here is very much up to date. So what I can do is it's going to be posted on my SOMD, and I believe we also have a calendar on my SOMD as well that's up to date that you can refer to.
And that's what I've been looking for, and I spent quite a bit of time looking, and there was nothing that even remotely connected to a kind of calendar. So if somebody could point us to where that is, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Jim, you've gone on my SOMD or on the SOMD website?
I've gone to the website and I've actually logged in.
My SOMD, it's loaded in the documents of the coaches section.
Yeah, I had very much trouble trying to find it, so maybe I'm just.
Well, I'll tell you what. Well, we can, Natalia, if you can just attach that, the most recent one.
I wouldn't mind going
go out
to find it. It's just I just need help finding it. Thanks.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're having trouble, some other folks probably are, so it's not going to hurt to attach it to the slides when they go out.
Yeah, absolutely. I can do that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and thank you, Chris, for helping me with this webinar.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.